But are you, well, when you say presentation, are you?
The presentation actually will basically also detail the process, right? So basically to bring awareness of how the process works. But this is a matter that actually came to me a couple of months back during the break. And when this came to me, it came to me from the constituents that we have living in the city, including the community residents as well as the business members. I was actually approached and they indicated that the flag has been raised in San Francisco over the past 4 years, as well as in Alameda, and I believe in Oakland they're going to be raising it this year. The representation of the flag basically represents the people of China, as well as the American flag represents the people of America. Looking at China over the past 50 years, they've definitely gone through a very lot of growth and progress and prosperity. And they have been economic partners with America for the past 20 years when we granted them the most favored nation. That prosperity has transformed China and made China a major economic power. We've been trading partners with them where they manufactured soft goods for us as well as hard goods, including many of our consumer electronics such as our iPhones, iPads, and many of our computer systems. Many of our citizens purchase the products from China, and we want to see that continued prosperity. But the most important thing that I see with China is actually changing. It's changing because of the will of the people. China historically has been doing a lot of domestic investment, and they're looking to also invest internationally because of their phenomenal growth. Raising the flag gives us the opportunity to show the openness to the people of China, the business people of China, to show that we welcome that investment and we welcome the prosperity, that we can also play an influence in many of their different policies. I asked Arlene Lum to come up shortly.
Excuse me for 1 second. Please, if you're on the telephone, do not have your conversation. You'll be surprised that the voices carry very well here. Feel free to have your conversation on the hall. Council Member Lee, we're not having individual groups make presentations. If a group wishes to speak to us, they'll be limited under the same time limit as other entities.
Okay, that will be fine. And many of us on the dais use the products such as the iPads, the telephones that is created, and we want to see we want that influence to continue on. We don't want to close our doors. If we close our doors, basically there is no sharing of the prosperity. So what we want to do is we want to raise the flag just as Oakland, Alameda, and San Francisco has. And I believe also Houston has just as well. It's recognizing the fact that San Leandro's demographics has changed significantly. We have many residents of Chinese ancestry. I am one of Chinese ancestry myself.
I'd like to take a motion and then open it up to council member comments.
I would like to make the motion to raise the flag.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Council members that wish to comment before we vote on the matter may do so now. Who wishes to comment? Councilmember Cutter?
Okay, so this is a fairly recent happening that was just raised in the last couple meetings, and I've been thinking about it, but we've gotten a really good education fast. And I don't think that there's a history of San Leandro ever raising a flag, even of another nation above our city, even some of our sister cities. And I realize to some it would be a welcome show of welcoming our citizens, but to others it's a very hurtful reminder of the treatment that they got by that government. And I welcome diversity in San Leandro, and I support the Chinese citizens that live here and work here and want to come here, but I can't support raising the flag. I just think it's too hurtful to too many people.
Other comments? Councilmember Gregory?
Yeah, quick comment. Until earlier this year, we didn't have a policy for raising flags, excuse me. We had a policy for lowering flags.
And that's not correct.
So what was the policy
Well, we do have a policy.
now?
Yeah. Well, I think there were guidelines before, but basically it is a decision by the council or the city manager.
And going back in the history of my elected office here in San Leandro, international type things have come up. And I don't know if it's a policy we had, but it was an informal policy that we would not engage and take on international issues, but we would lobby and talk to ourselves about issues. And it didn't always include raising or lowering a flag. So it was just a policy that we had informally here. And so what I've seen tonight is a lot of divisiveness that may not be appropriate. I'm not in favor of raising the flag. I'm not thinking at this time it isn't appropriate until things change, and I'd be very happy to raise the flag. But at the point where we bring this kind of divisiveness into the city, I don't agree with the goals for raising the flag right now. You know, if we had a conversation about raising a Confederate flag, we would have similar kind of discussions too, meaning is it ultimately appropriate to do it or not? So I'm not in favor.
Councilman Reed?
Over this past census, we found that San Leandro is almost 30% Asian, and we have quite a few Chinese individuals in our population that we have tried to reach out by changing all of our materials into not only English and Spanish, but also into Chinese, and so the symbols, so that we make ourselves, our transparency, and make communication more clear with all of our populations. I think tonight, Councilmember Lee, in asking to raise the flag, when this was brought to us, we definitely were considering it because we are open and want, as a community, for our smaller communities within San Leandro to feel welcome here and not only do business here, but live, work, and play, as we always say. I have got quite a synopsis tonight, and I appreciate all of you coming out of the reasons that you're opposing this. I appreciate that. I think that though, in the spirit of what this was brought to us in, that we are here to welcome the Chinese population into the community, I will be voting yes tonight.
Again, I ask you to refrain from public outbursts. Councilmember Souza?
I'd like to thank those who got up and spoke tonight. It's important to get out and speak and share your thoughts. So I'd like to get clarity. Do we have a policy, and what is the policy that we currently have?
I'll read from it here. It says, as a general rule, specific designation flags, such as United Nations flag, flag of a sister city, Jones Memorial flag, etc., will be raised only upon the direction of the mayor or city manager. Such flags will be only flown at City Hall, and when raised, shall replace the flag of the city of San Leandro, not the flag of the United States, or the flag of the state of California. And then it talks about the procedures for doing so. That is essentially the policy in a nutshell.
So it doesn't basically identify countries, it just says flags and causes. So I guess that leaves it ambiguous as to what to do about countries.
Yeah.
Is that?
I would agree with you. Ultimately, we as the council make the decision.
Okay. I believe that we have heard very interesting comments from the people in the audience. I'm not sure we've had a deep, educated, open discussion about this. We've all gotten information from the things that we want to. And I believe that the diversity of the city is what's making our city strong. And we support that diversity. It's difficult to try to convince people that raising a flag isn't supporting politics, but welcoming the people that are in our community to say, we want you to be a part of our continuity, we want you to continue to grow to be a part of our community. And so I think that I just challenge people to think of a welcome rather than, because we can always look at things different ways. And I don't think that raising the flag can only be looked at one way. And I can't address what you've experienced in your life, but I ask you to think about, while you're asking me to think about what you're experiencing in your life, I'm asking you to experience what I'm experiencing in my role and in my life. And I want to embrace that relationship and improve that relationship so that we can be, as one of our speakers said, a world where everyone loves everybody and everybody gets along. And so I think the more we embrace that, the better opportunity we'll have to achieve that.
Okay, I'll turn to Vice Mayor Prola first.
Yes. When this was brought up, I've gone back and forth on it 2 or 3 times already. And so I decided to ask the Chinese people that I knew in San Leandro, who are American citizens here, who left China sometimes because of the atrocities that were there. And I was at the Senior Resources Fair, and I asked some elderly Chinese people there who left China because of the repression, whether they thought we should be raising the flag or not. And they told me, to them, we weren't honoring the government if we raised the flag, we'd be honoring the people. And I talked to my wife about this actually, and frankly we have a little difference of opinion. And the next day at the Moon Festival, because I was told that, well, maybe it was just that generation of Chinese, I was down at Marina Park, and I just discussed it with many Asian people, some young, some old, some in between, who are from different Asian communities down there, most from China, but certainly not all. And they were of the same opinion, really, that we would not be honoring the Chinese government if we raised the flag, we'd be honoring the Chinese people. I want to make it clear, I do not stand for anything that the Chinese government is doing as far as repressing their people, but I also believe that we, as one of the most diverse cities in the Bay Area, have to understand the thinking of the different diversities that we have in San Leandro. So my vote tonight is going to be honoring the Chinese people and not the Chinese government.
Councilmember Lee.
I share the same opinion as our Vice Mayor, Jim Perola. I actually wrestled with this myself. I remember several years ago when we were talking about going to China, and I wrestled with the opinion of trying, I didn't want to go because I was told of the harsh realities. I didn't want to go at all. Actually, it was the mayor at that time who convinced me, as well as many in the Asian Community Cultural Association, as well as my wife. So I went on the visit, expecting to see what I've always been told, and I saw different. What I saw was a very happy people. When we took a boat ride down the Zhujiang River, I saw a family who paid a lot of money just to go on the boat ride, and they marveled at the changes in China because of the fact that they were modernizing. It was actually, when I went there, it was quite polluted, and there were litter all over the streets. And I had talked to another individual who just went back to that same location recently, and she told me that it was actually very clean because of the policies. There was a garbage can on every single block. China is progressing, but the reason why I want this flag raised is to acknowledge and accept the people of Asian ancestry, Chinese ancestry, who have made it as a part of our community, who partake in the civic process. I want to thank the people who came tonight to express their views. It's important for us to have all this dialogue. I understand that this may anger some, but I will continue with my support of this.
We'll shortly come to a vote. I'll make my comments, and that is symbols are very important, and they take on a greater significance and importance when the government itself uses symbols. A flag, a national flag, is a representation of a people. It's also a representation of government. And if the question tonight was solely, do we wish to honor and appreciate the Chinese people and the contributions of the Chinese community to San Leandro, this would be a 7-0 vote. We certainly do welcome and value our Chinese population here. We celebrate the Chinese New Year. We have had coffee with the mayor, translated into Chinese. We've done many other activities, not only for the Chinese, geared towards the Chinese population, but also our Asian community as a whole, which is varied. It includes a large Filipino community here and a growing Vietnamese community, in addition to other groups from Asia, such as Indians. However, the raising a flag is also recognizing a specific government. And in this case here, it's a government that's not democratically elected and that has had severe violations of human rights over a number of years that continue to the present. And I think back of my background and my ancestry as largely an Irish American, and there were times when Ireland itself was a colony of Great Britain. And if this was in 1918, 1919, 1920, if the City Council wanted to raise the flag of Great Britain, my ancestors would be here tonight, as are the members of the Tibetan community, advocating that we not do it. I don't think human rights are limited to one point in time. I think if we believe in the value of human rights, we need to recognize that this flag has a dual purpose, not only for the people, but also for the government. And to raise it would be a signal and a representation that we are supportive of the government of China, and that's not a position that I believe our city should undertake. I'll call for the vote.
This will be a voice vote, so signify your vote with an aye or no. Councilmember Cutter?
No?
Councilmember Gregory?
No.
Councilmember Lee?
Aye.
Councilmember Reed?
Aye.
Councilmember Souza?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Prola?
Aye.
Mayor Cassidy?
No.
Vote is 4 ayes, 3 noes. Council members Cutter, Gregory, and Mayor Cassidy voting no. Motion passes.
Thank you, everyone.
People, council members who have their flags outside.
Please take your comments outside. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mayor.
That is a shame for
gotta try to pay for it, that's why.
Could you please exit the room?
Never do that.
Thank you.
Sorry, we usually don't like that.
Okay. Let's move on to our public hearings. Item number 3 is public hearings on
The resolution approving